Alright, welcome back everyone. Bienvenidos de nuevo a todos. So I just want to kind of use, what I want to do is kind of take away the mystery of being a missionary, of just missions and stuff. Answer some questions you might have. Address them, even maybe some of those fears, those thoughts that kind of just roll around in our heads. Because I know that when it comes to all this, there's a lot of fears, a lot of questions that happen. Just to check it. I mean, really, honestly, this is kind of how it goes for most of us, including ourselves. Is like we feel like God's called us to missions. We hear the stories of the need that's out there in the world, and we want to become missionaries. And like in those moments when it's happening, we're hearing the stories, we are so motivated. Like I just heard a story last night from a missionary's kid, and she was saying that her dad, well, they were in the Middle East and a predominantly Muslim community and country, and her dad was talking to a Muslim, and he was taking the opportunity in this time to share with him the gospel and just talk about Jesus Christ, the love of God, and all this stuff. And finally, this man, he like looked at him and he said, "Hey, like how long have you known this?" And at the time that her dad was sharing the story, he said, "Well, I've known this for about 15 so years." And he goes, "Well, how long has your family known about this, your country?" And he's like, "Well, my country for hundreds of years, and then even in like the states like America, it's been maybe even thousands of years, and then over to Europe, it's been even longer." And he continued to say, like, this Muslim man, he goes, begin to tell, like why, if you've known it for this long, like why hasn't anyone shared it with us? And he goes to say, he's like, "My grandfather was a very good man. Like he would take food off of his own table and feed it to us, like if we were hungry so that we wouldn't starve. He would take his own things for his own well-being and give it to us kids so that we can make it in life." And I know that if someone would have taken the time to sit down with my grandfather, who was a good man, and just tell them this story and tell them the story of Jesus Christ and of God and this God who loves us so much, like I know my grandfather, he would have listened to them. And then he asked this question in the middle of that. He's like, if you have known this for so long, like why is it just now people are coming? And even then, why is it so few? Like why would you keep such great news kind of to yourselves? The thing that shook me is like realizing how much people really are willing and wanting to hear. And like, yeah, there's a lot of fear with some of these areas, and there's a lot of fear to going, but then it like excites me because it just shows like how ready everyone is and wanting, and how ready the world, I guess you could say, even the countries we think as unreachable, untouchable, like the people there are wanting to know the love of Christ. Here's just a reality that I'm aware of, is like I've heard these kind of stories before growing up, and I've been in those moments where like God spoke to me and shook me and was like got me really excited and wanting to go into missions. But then just life kind of happened, and then my fears sometimes set in, and then my thoughts and the mystery of it all. I was like, what can I even do? Was one of them. What am I gonna do? You know, like those kind of things. How can I do it? Especially once I became a family man and I like had my wife and a kid and we were pregnant. Then it's like, well, then what? Now what? Then it was like, now what? Like what do I do to take care of my family? What do I do as we try and grow our family? You know, these are a lot of questions I had. And then a lot of questions came up that I didn't even know I was gonna have once we came here. Things like, how in the world do I adjust to a culture, this culture? Things like, why do they act the way they act? Like, why do they say what they say? Why is everyone so indirect? Like, why can't they just be very direct with us? Culture shock. Learning how to deal with culture shock. Like, what is culture shock? All these crazy amounts of thoughts I didn't even know I could have. And then there's like those questions that you don't even know exist yet. Those questions that come up once you get to the field, and by field, I mean once you get to a country or your place where you're trying to serve. And then I even remember feeling that feeling of like, what if I go and I hate it? And I'm like, I miss the call of God, and like just completely, utterly hate it. What about the whole raising money thing and having to raise support and get people to support me? Like depending on that, like I don't know how to do that. All right, so I get it. Like you're like in your head, you're saying like, Nevin, are you like, why are you creating so many questions and then like all these problems? Like, have I created enough problems already? The goal is we want to help answer these questions. We want to help kind of guide us through these questions, help find solutions to these things, you know, like help. Just here's a list of questions we have. Here's a list of problems. I don't even know all the things you might actually be asking, and I may be missing them and be off the mark a little bit here. This is not impossible. This is not unreachable. Like you, we, all of us, it can happen. And here's the thing, like we are trying to like basically create this channel into a way to help guide us into missions, help give us stepping stones, little easily achievable marks to go along the way. And so right now, like start praying about it. Pray about this, pray about being a missionary, pray about what if God's calling you, where he's calling you. You don't even have to know where you want to go. You don't even have to know what to do. It just, if you feel like God's calling you into mission, there's so much need that you could just show up to us and show up to the AGWM, the Assemblies of God World Missions, and say like, hey, I feel like God's calling me to missions. I feel like God wants me to go. I just don't know where or what, but I know it's to go. Like, I promise you, we have need, and we have people who are just begging for people like yourselves to come. Subscribe. I know I say it all the time, like, hey, hit that subscribe button. The reason why is we want to get to 100,000 subscribers, because if 1% of 100,000 subscribers, like 1% of those people decide to join missions, that's 1,000 more missionaries that we can have going out to the field. And like, over this year, we're going to set things up. I'm going to share needs with you here in Latin America, hopefully needs in other areas, because I know some of us have questions like, hey, what would I even do if I went? Like, post your questions in the comments, all right? Post things and like, you're like, hey, what about this? Like, how does this happen? Or how does that work? Whatever it may be. Like, the thing is like, we need to start somewhere, right? We got to start by just making that first step. So start praying about it. Subscribe to this channel. Help share these videos. Well, I think that's it. All right, guys, we'll see you. See you soon. I don't know when soon is, because life sometimes gets crazy, and I'm not gonna make you a promise I'm gonna be here tomorrow or on Monday or Tuesday, but I will try to see you then. I love you guys. Thank you again so much for spending your time with me. See you later. It's the Mexican Embassy. Hey!